Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the South Jersey Shore, a welcoming and inclusive faith community. We kindly ask that you turn off your cell phones. Our service is open to all visitors, friends, and members. Whether you are single, partnered, a family of any type, we welcome you. Whether you are here in the sanctuary with us, watching live online, or on demand, may our time together be one of learning and celebration. My name is Marty Quish, and I am your worship associate this morning. I am a member of this congregation and currently serve on the Board of Trustees. Our worship service today is led by Reverend Julie Newhall. Reverend Newhall was ordained more than 20 years ago and serves as minister for the UU Ocean County congregation. She has been a visiting minister at every UU group in New Zealand and at numerous fellowships and congregations in the eastern United States, ranging from New York all the way down to and including Florida. Video of today's service will be available on our YouTube channel later today. To those gathered live on Facebook, we welcome your comments as well as your joys and sorrows on that platform. Please remember that this video will be on the internet, so do not share information best kept private. There are a few announcements for this week. Thank you to all who came out for our annual service auction last night. Fun was had by all at our biggest fundraiser of the year. Hope everybody had a great time.
We did. It was lovely.
The next circle dinner is scheduled for Saturday, December 6th. Sign-up sheets can be found in the foyer near the kitchen door. You can see Colette Johnson or Nick Bonar for more information. Join Jessica Dunsafinoff at noon today in the library for this month's adult religious education conversation entitled "For What Shall We Give Thanks?" All are welcome to attend to dig deeper into this month's theme of nurturing gratitude. Join us next Sunday for the Power of Release, to hear the essential lessons learned in the metaphysical and processes of letting go, presented by guest speaker Dr. Jennifer Warren. Welcome to worship.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Marty. I just want to say that the original prelude for today was to be sung by Miriam, who has the best excuse in the world to not be here today. She had a granddaughter was just born, and she had to fly up to Boston to take care of the 3-year-old. So I have pictures, if anybody wants to see. Cute little nugget. So this song came to me. I thought, what am I going to do? Because I really like for Miriam to sing the song that was selected. I'm not going to tell you what it is because we'll have her either next week or the week after. And so this song always makes me think of Julie. Is Julie here this morning? Yes, there she is. And you are welcome to sing along. Julie is the person who turned me on to this really sweet song. I'd come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God. I'd stay in the garden with him, though the night around me is falling, but he bids me go through the voice of woe. His voice to me is calling, and he walks with me and he talks with me and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known.
Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all the verities and realities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of beauty. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. Our chalice lighter today is Richard Churig.
We love Richard. We love everybody, but we really love Richard.
Please join me in reading the chalice lighting words in your order of service. We light this chalice for eyes that see miracles in mundane moments. May this flame remind us that gratitude grows not through waiting for extraordinary gifts, but through noticing the ordinary blessings surrounding us daily.
Please rise in body or spirit. Hit it, Neil.
We'll be singing hymn number 100, Peace Like a River, verses 1, 2, 3, and 1.
Beautiful. Thank you, Gary. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul.
to catch my breath. I was singing like I got a little too into it. So today is Time for All Ages, and the whole service, actually, is about one of our Unitarian Universalist ancestors, Frank Lloyd Wright. He was an architect, which is someone that designs buildings and structures. And believe it or not, he was even once called America's greatest architect. The story I have for you today is about how he looked to nature as one of his biggest inspirations, valuing interdependence just as we today honor the interdependent web of all existence and acknowledge our place in it. So the story is called The Shape of the World, a portrait of Frank Lloyd Wright, written by K.L. Going and illustrated by Lauren Stringer. One night, a mama rocked a baby in an old wooden chair. Someday, she whispered, you will build beautiful buildings. The baby smiled and cooed. He didn't know about beautiful buildings. He hadn't seen soaring skyscrapers or elegant museums, but someday he would learn. When the baby grew into a boy, his mother gave him gifts of cubes, spheres, cones, pyramids, cylinders. The boy loved the smooth shapes. They felt soft against his fingers and heavy in his palms. It was fun to build them up and knock them down. He loved to stack them this way and that way and this. They could grow tall or wide, flat or round. Aha! The boy had learned a secret. Every shape was many shapes. When he was older, the boy spent each summer on his uncle's farm. He worked from sunrise to sunset, but sometimes, when no one was looking, the boy marveled at the great big world around him. He saw shapes everywhere he looked. He found an arch in the pathway of a frog, a cone inside the petals of a flower, a triangle of a spider's web, pyramid peaks of anthills, and perfect hexagons inside an empty piece of honeycomb. He saw the shiny sphere of the sun and the glowing circle of the moon. Sometimes the boy hid in the tall grass, watching the weeds bend and sway, studying the shape of a bird's flight. He asked himself many questions. Did the sky have a shape? How many shapes were hidden in a tree? Raindrops made changing shapes, cold and clear. Lightning made jagged shapes, sharp and burnt. The river made a smooth shape, long and curved. The boy loved the shape of the world. He wanted to build buildings as amazing as the world around him. When the boy grew into a man, he became an architect. He worked hard from sunrise to sunset, but he never forgot the smooth weight of the blocks his mother had given him when he was a boy. He remembered the hills and prairies surrounding his family farm. When other architects chose walls, he chose windows. When others set their buildings apart, his were one with the world around them. He built a house like a honeycomb, a museum like a shell, and towers as tall and thick as trees. People from far and wide came to see his work. When they looked at his buildings, they imagined the rolling landscape of hills and felt the wide expanse of the sky surround them. Like the boy, they too learned to love the shape of the world. One night, when the architect was an old man, he rocked back and forth in his mother's wooden chair. Her promise had come true. When he was a baby, he hadn't known about beautiful buildings. He hadn't seen soaring skyscrapers or elegant museums, but he had learned. Someday had come and gone, and he had changed the shape of the world.
A book is provided in the foyer in which you are invited to write whatever joys and sorrows you have as you enter. I will now read what you have shared. A 6-pound, 3-ounce bundle of joy was delivered this past Friday. Alyssa, a new granddaughter. That's from Miriam and Jack. Concern for Helen Utz, who dislocated her shoulder on vacation in Southeast Asia. Joy, because she says she's still having a good time in a beautiful place. That's so Helen. Let us share a quiet time together to reflect upon our week. During the musical interlude, you may come forward and place a pebble in the water to acknowledge a personal joy or sorrow.
Good morning. Let's breathe in and out together 3 times. Breathing in and out and in and out and in and out. This reading, Patience and Silence. How quiet it is when we have the patience to be silent. How much we can learn in moments like these. We can learn to have patience with ourselves, to better understand and like who and what we are. We can learn to have patience with others, to better listen to what they say and how they feel. We can learn to have patience with life, to better work with it rather than against it. How much do we need silence? Silence for truth so that we may learn wisdom. Silence for wisdom so that we may learn love. Silence for love so that we may be just. Silence for justice so that we may live fully. May we be more patient and more silent so that we may proceed with courage and compassion. Amen.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than gold? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than gold? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How deeply you're connected to my
Each week, we take an offering during our service. It's good to remind ourselves from time to time that the offering is symbolic as well as practical. We know that it is through pledges that we build our budget and fund our yearly programs and ministries of worship and religious education, pay our staff and professional religious leaders, and finance the comfort and beauty of our building. If this is your first time visiting us today, feel free to let the basket pass, as your presence is gift enough. For those who are participating online, please visit uucsjs.org and click on the yellow donate button for ways to donate. Our offering says that the act of giving is as essential to our spiritual well-being as anything else we do here on Sunday mornings. The morning offering will now be given and received in the spirit of grateful fellowship.
I
time waking up this morning. So glad you still came. Do you know how to party hard? Oh, thank you for coming to the auction.
From Newhall sea to you again, together we share, and from this we live.
This reading for the season from Robert Weston, former Unitarian Universalist minister, long deceased. Out of doors, the colors of bright autumn and the bright sun tell of the beauty of that which dies, but always comes again. They speak directly to the heart of the eternal which outlives all moments and yet lives only in them, outlives all forms, yet comes again in them as in ourselves. It is said that there is nothing new in the world, no thoughts even which others have not thought before us. Yet every thought is new to him or her who for himself or herself thinks it for the first time. Each miracle of life is also rebirth, life born again. Though every individual be new, existing at his birth for his first time. Life in each one, as in the leaf and the flower, accepts and cheats death. There is a sadness in the autumn leaf. I feel a sorrow that its beauty dies, and feel its message for the lives of those, as of myself, whom I have known and loved. The leaf itself comes not again, though other leaves and flowers will bloom and other lives, richer than we have been, shall take our place. Perhaps the autumn teaches us a wiser grace through which we live by learning to let go. I'm thrilled to be here again. I was last here in July when I talked about time, and I mentioned all the photographs people keep in their phones, and the cats and other pets that we keep, and our children, and how we do not see time itself because time is like the wind. It's invisible. What we see is what happens to us, and we call that moving through time. Right now we are in autumn, and I dressed in my robe to match the oak trees. And I do, but I see that a lot of the leaves have dropped here already, so it's a little more bare than I thought it was going to be. I was asked to talk about Frank Lloyd Wright because when I was here in July talking about time, I mentioned that I had done a service on June 8th, which was Frank Lloyd Wright's actual birthday. And a number of you said to me, "Can you come talk to us about him later?" And I said, sure. The story that Jess chose was beautiful. It was perfect for capturing the loving spirit in Frank Lloyd Wright, who was known for being an extremely crusty, antagonistic adult. One of the best things about the pictures from the book was that they do look a lot like Frank Lloyd Wright when he was a young boy, and I was very surprised by how accurate the artist was in doing that. Now, when I spoke about Frank Lloyd Wright on his birthday, someone came up to me after the service and said, "How could you talk about him? How could he be a Unitarian? He behaved so badly." And I said, "When did that ever stop a Unitarian?" We are not saints, are we? Maybe in our imagination, but in real life, we know that we make mistakes. We know that we say things that we sometimes regret. We know sometimes that we don't do things we really ought to have done. Frank Lloyd Wright was a living example of that. And before I get into more about him, I should say that Frank Lloyd Wright was a Unitarian from birth. His uncle, Jenkin Lloyd Jones, was a very famous Unitarian in the later years of the 1800s and the early years of the 1900s. He was Welsh. He was born in Wales. Lloyd and Jones are both very popular Welsh names, and you may never have thought about that, but that is the background of Frank Lloyd Wright's family. It's a Welsh background, and that's why his house, his famous house, Taliesin, was given a Welsh name, which I'll explain in a minute. So what can we say about him that you didn't already learn from the book? Well, he grew up in the Midwest, which is where Jenkin Lloyd Jones also lived. Jenkin Lloyd Jones was considered a very radical Unitarian minister because he tossed out a lot of Christology ideas and the rest of it, and he joined a movement called the Unity Movement. Much later, Unity Church itself was established in the West, I believe in Missouri. But the Unity Movement that Jenkin Lloyd Jones was involved in was a radical wing of Unitarianism, and some people did not like how radical he was. It's not surprising that his nephew, Frank Lloyd Wright, also became a radical, but a radical in the field of architecture. When Frank Lloyd Wright, who grew up in the Midwest, went to university to study architecture, he discovered at the university he was at that there were no courses in it, so he studied engineering. And if you have ever seen his buildings, you know that an engineer was behind the thought that created all these extreme vertical shapes, horizontal shapes, and even the shell shape of the Guggenheim Museum. A person who hadn't studied engineering could probably never have created that swirl of a building. Have any of you been to the Guggenheim? Yeah, a few of you. Yeah. It's very different from the rest of his buildings. He was famous for a style called the prairie style architecture, and it had to do with low-lying buildings and structures. And some of you are probably familiar with the building Falling Waters, where a building projects out above a stream that's coming down underneath it, a very famous idea and unusual at the time. The only person I can think of now who reminds me in a different way of Frank Lloyd Wright is Antonio Gaudí, who is the architect of Barcelona. Gaudí came up with all kinds of shapes. He was also into nature and the shapes of the world in designing things. The spires of the Sagrada Familia, his cathedral in Barcelona, are now being worked on. They've been building that cathedral for over 100 years, and it was all featured the other day on television. He practiced creating shapes that people said would never stand, including arches that were curved. And the workers who worked with Gaudí said, those will not stand up. So he built 2 of them himself overnight, and then the workers came in, oh, they're standing. Oh, he was right. Frank Lloyd Wright did that too. He went ahead and did things that people said were impossible. He was famous for using a lot of concrete and natural stone and natural wood because he wanted to stay as close to the earth in his material use as possible. This means that many of the structures that he designed, and he designed 1,000 or more structures, have collapsed over time. They have disintegrated over time as the wood has rotted and fallen away. So many of his original creations still exist in photographs. I have a book of some of them with me, if any of you want to see them. And some are still standing. Falling Water, for instance, is still standing. Unity Temple, which was his first big building in Oak Park, Illinois, for Unitarians, is still standing, and you can go visit it. And Unity Chapel, which is a smaller building up in Wisconsin, is also still standing. He looked like a classical look of a genius from the late 1800s. He was born in 1867. He died in 1959. He had a very long lifespan. Consider what he lived through: the First World War, the Second World War, Korean War. All of these things were going on around him while he was building. He spent his early years in Chicago, where he studied architecture. And if you go to the Midwest, you can go on a tour of many of his places. And I believe that a program, Road Scholar, do you know that? Road Scholar did a tour of Frank Lloyd Wright's architecture several years ago that a friend of mine went on. His practice encompassed apartment houses, group dwellings, recreation centers, but most remarkable were his works for business and churches. And most of his buildings, I would say, ran north-south, because he was from the Wisconsin area, and then he went south, and eventually he went to California. And I just learned from something I saw on television that two people who live in one of his houses that was built in Los Angeles, and the house is still standing, have gotten permission from the Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation to do a biopic of him. There has never been a visual documentary of him or his work, so it's going to be quite interesting to see what they come up with. Now, the name of the sermon is May We Be Imperfectly Frank, and I said that because Frank was a bad boy. He was a very bad boy. He ran around. He lived with other people's wives. Yes. He left his wife and his kids, didn't think he could stand living with the ass kid. Okay. He lived with the wife of another man and the wife of another man, and, he made no bones about it. That's just who he was. And, we often get the idea that all geniuses are philanderers. I don't know if that's true, but I'm sure you can name some others who were considered philanderers, and Frank was one of them. And he made no bones about it. He wasn't embarrassed by it at all. Tired of you? I'm going with her now. Tired of her? No, I'm going with her now. And he did that. He switched partners. He was written about, many people in the architecture field consider him the most outstanding architect of the 20th century. Now, I would say I.M. Pei gives him a good run for his money. Frank Gehry, who is now designing wild buildings all around the world, another major architectural talent. But Frank was the first one who made being an architect sexy. And maybe it was sexy because he was very sexual. The way he ran around is amazing. I would like to read you two quotes from Frank. Architecture. A doctor can bury his mistakes, but an architect can only advise his client to plant a lot of vines around his building. Pride. Early in life, I had to choose between honest arrogance and hypocritical humility. And of course, he chose honest arrogance, not hypocritical humility. His motto was truth against the world. He designed more than 1,000 structures during the 70 years that he was doing architectural work. Not all of these were built, of course, but that is what he did. About that film, FLW Foundation, that's the Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation, has struck a deal with a Hollywood production company called Galisteo Media to produce the biopic about him. It's going to focus on the 1920s when he relocated to the Los Angeles area. The story behind this was that his house in the Midwest, Taliesin, was set on fire by someone who was in the house, burned it down, and killed 7 people there, including Frank's mistress of the time And after that, he, of course, could not bear to be in the ruins of the house, so he moved west, and he built a second building called Taliesin, which was, I believe, New Mexico. It's true what the book said about him as a boy, that he had a reverence for the natural world, and that's why he tried to use natural elements and why he tried to design all his buildings to suit the landscape. I don't know about you, but I really like buildings that do that. His buildings were often horizontal or curved. They went around things. He did not build towering structures like Antonio Gaudi. But of course, Antonio Gaudi was building in one city, and that's where he was specializing in making the cathedral the most outstanding building in the country, and it is. So his theories were about organic architecture, fitting the building into the setting, and his architectural style became known as prairie style. His reputation, as I said, ran around with him because he did not stay home. According to Forbes.com, in June 7th of 2017, in connection with Frank's June 8th birthday, this is what Forbes wrote. He was a narcissist and control freak, a spendthrift and adulterer who led a life marked by scandal, debt, and even murder. He didn't murder anyone. The mistress was murdered when the fire was set in his house. Along the way, Frank Lloyd Wright designed the most innovative buildings of 20th century America, or as he would tell you, the whole world. Because, of course, he believed in arrogance instead of humility. He was initially buried at Unity Chapel in Wisconsin. That's a smaller building. His body was later moved to his Taliesin estate, and his ashes were returned ultimately to Taliesin, the building, his second home that he built in Arizona. It's a Welsh word that means shining bow, and that's because of the way he designed it to go around the curve of the hill that it was built on. He wanted to create a home that was of the hill, but not on it. So Frank Lloyd Wright left us with a lot to look at and a lot to think about. And as that congregant said, how could he be a Unitarian? He behaves so badly. And I say there are probably a lot of Unitarians who behave badly. We just don't know all of them. I encourage you to behave better than Frank did. So that's Frank Lloyd Wright in a nutshell.
Thank you so much. I have so many things to look up when I go home today, and I want to be first in line to check out those photos, too. I want to be in line to see those photos you have of his buildings. I would like to ask everyone to please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, Let It Be a Dance. And Peg, if you're watching, this one's for you. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance with you. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Ruh-roh.
This closing reading is from Richard Gilbert, longtime Universalist minister in Rochester, New York. He's written many books about worship and prayers and meditations in various books published by Skinner Books. This one is called Gentleness in Living. Be gentle with one another. It is a cry from the lives of people battered by thoughtless words and brutal deeds. It comes from the lips of those who speak them and the lives of those who do them. Who of us can look inside another and know what is there of hope and hurt or promise and pain? Who can know from what places each has come, or to what far places each may hope to go one day? Our lives are like fragile eggs. They crack and the substance escapes. Handle with care. Handle with exceedingly tender care, for there are human beings inside. Human beings as vulnerable as we are, who feel as we feel, who hurt as we hurt. Life is too transient to be cruel with one another. It is too short for thoughtlessness, too brief for hurting. Life is long enough for caring. It is lasting enough for sharing, precious enough for love. Be gentle with one another. Amen.
Let us read the words together for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
We're having a technical difficulty with the microphone that needs a battery.
Test, test.
Yeah, because when it gives you the red blinking light, what that means it's going to end up making a very yucky sound. So you're going to use my mic. I got it covered, David. We're going to have her use my mic. I'll just turn it up. 1 minute. This is true love. Nobody uses my mic. I'm funny that way. Not funny, haha. Okay, give me a check 1, 2.
Check, 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 test, test.
I'm
1,
not
2,
Hearing
3.
you enough.
Me neither. 4, 5. 1, check.
How's that?
Check. 1,
Good?
2. Better.
All right. All right. Can you hear my guitar? Yes. Yes. Okay.
the pieces of the dreams I left behind. I am light. I am light. I am not the color of my eyes. I am not the skin on the outside. I am not my age. I am not my race. My soul inside. It's all love. It's all love. My soul's all love. It's all love. I am divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I am a star, a piece of it all.
Andrea, thank you.
Thank you. We warmly welcome all of you who are visiting us today. Now let us share in a moment of silent reflection to consider today's message and the meaning it has in our lives.